There was a tale sung long across the lands. A tale of a burgeoning fire. A flame set to sweep from east to west. A tale of the many who rose against it. A tale of change. Goodness. Of hope, some might even say. Today, we come to conclude that glorious tale. Ladies, gentlemen, and all those in between and beyond that binary, welcome back to Neon Lights Roleplay. I am your host, Young Foxy, and more specifically, I love to welcome you all back. I bet you thought we were done, but we're back one last time for Against the Light. Just one, another one, in case you thought we were done. Like I already said, I'm Young Foxy, but much more importantly than me, I got just 4 incredible fucking people around me who I'm gonna shout out so they can say who they are one good time, and we can get right to this fucking session. You mean, let's do it. I can't see the overlay right now, so I'm gonna just call y'all out randomly and hope that this makes sense, because I ain't seen this overlay in like several weeks. So I don't know. Say hi, Chouse. Whenever you're ready, boss.
Wait.
Bud, you're muted.
No, you're not. You're not muted.
Listen, I was muted, said hi, unmuted myself, said hi, realized my microphone had died.
Alright, okay, I got you. Hold up. I got you.
Time.
Alright, rewind 20. Rewind 20
Genuinely
seconds.
think we could do a supercut of all of the times Chouse has started the stream muted. Put that on a Patreon.
Put it in the channel trailer.
About it.
In any case, I'm sorry.
You're right.
We'll take it back 30 seconds. So, again, I have wonderful people around me who are going to do themselves in a random order, so please tell the people who you are, who you're playing one last time. And I don't have a question today. Let's get right into it. Actually, no. I'm sorry. Who you are, who you're playing today, and tell me what your character is wearing to the celebratory ball to celebrate your victory in this war. Tell me how you're dripping out. Tell me what the swag is looking like for this situation. Chouse, take us away whenever you're ready, boss.
Alrighty, with no technical difficulties this time, hello, I am Chouse. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the interwebs at It's Chouse. I'm gonna turn down Stereoscape a little bit. Sorry. I will be playing Real Brandshaw, and I have decided as a player to drip out in full costume, including the horns, because I had finally stopped fucking procrastinating on those. So let's fucking go.
And you're looking good, Chief. And you're looking good.
Thanks. Yeah, and to answer the question, Rio would be wearing a long white, long-sleeved shirt, kind of like what I am now, but wearing a vest that has not very intricate, kind of simple but complex. Simple pattern but complex in the tapestry of of it kind of almost folding in on itself, and within those folds he has the many knives that he continuously carries with him, but this time they're a bit more hidden, and kind of just, I guess, stark black dress pants. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Rio Bradshaw, ever proving the motto: if you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. Moving right along.
Absolutely.
Moving right along in the cast list as we move on to our the rest of our incredible cast. I don't even who's next. D6. Okay, cool. That person. Tate, say hi.
Hello, Twitch. My name is Tate Washburn, and I am playing Airdray Terravantier. I cannot speak correctly today. Airdray, our elvish swordman, and for any kind of celebratory ball, I've established that he has the jacket he wears when he's out, and then an identical jacket that's just kept nicer for formal events. But for a ball, I think he does have this shoulder cape sort of deal that is very elvish, and it's the only real elvish piece of clothing he wears anymore that is either actually made of or looks like it's made out of real evergreen maple leaves.
Ooh.
and it like only goes down to an elbow. It's like a really short, like one shoulder kind of cape deal, but it is tight and clean. And yeah, he would not carry his sword at a ball, but that's because he can kind of just make it appear in his hand from anywhere in the world, so he's like not worried about it.
Airdrie, taking the idea of geocycling your clothing to a new level. Keeping it moving right along with the group. I guess I got one left. Those highs. Meg, how you doing, love?
I am doing just well. I'm already pre-gaming for this ball. Hi everybody, I am
Same.
Mysteria. I get the distinct pleasure of playing Lydia Evermore, our house historian, one last time. As far as what she is wearing to the festivities, Lydia is known for usually wearing rather proper formal attire, so this really isn't outside of the ordinary. It's a long, although it's a distinctly darker blue midnight colored gown with golden accents along the deep neckline and shoulders, where the gold is polished to a point where the sheen is almost red to match the red crystal that now hangs around her neck.
Well, Lydia Evermore, proving once again that death is in fact never looked so sexy. And of course, and I guess while I'm here and present, I want to take the moment to really offer y'all as a cast like a genuine thank you. This campaign was difficult for me in a lot of ways, partially because like it's so setting dependent. It's so dependent on like all y'all buying like the premise and like the feel of it. And nobody, I feel like, has done that. Oh, I thought she was here. I was ready to set it off. Nobody has done that better, I feel like, than the ever incomparable, the amazing, the awe-inspiring, the put your fucking headphones on, please, so I can finish this goddamn intro. The incredible legendary Vermin. Say hi to people. How you doing, Vermin?
Everybody, I'm Legendary Vermin. I am the fastest streamer on the internet. Just got back from my garage.
Your garage? Goddamn.
That's where I keep the beer. It's cooler there. Anyway,
Mood.
I have the pleasure of bringing to life the High Emissary Fane Hemlock for one last glorious ride. I am on the internet as Legendary Vermin on all the places on the internet that matter, and I am also Washington's worst. So, what is Fane wearing to the ball? She's wearing a carefully embroidered. I think there's like lots of probably synthetically made or magically made. Let's be real. Little pearl embroidery running all up a sort of like shimmery emerald green gown. However, kind of like a I forget what they're called, but those like military like bandolier type things.
Sash.
But along the sash, over her heart, are some, but not all, of the daggers that were mentioned last episode. There is one for Nyx with an amethyst, a big purple amethyst on the end. There is one for Nauri, where the sheath is bedazzled with some bright blue sapphires. And there is a new one with a single like etched heart over red leather and steel. Yeah.
Fane Hemlock, who should call me later. I miss her, honestly.
Accessorizing daggers in a whole new way.
And as I quench my thirst, I'll remind you all that I'm Young Foxy, aka Big Foxy, also known as your favorite fox, Philly's finest. And when my intros aren't being aped, I usually tend to run this little game of ours sometimes. And so I think I'll do that with no further ado than by bringing us in to scene. Where we last left off. The siege of the Westlands began. Troops of the Everlight Church landed themselves on the shores of Cyprus and began to make their way inland. They were met by the army of the people. The Vairdanian army gathered, allies assembled, soldiers motivated, and they took to the field. And with strength and determination, trusting in the fortification of their walls, the will of their commanders, the forethought of their leaders, and most importantly, the resolve of their comrades, they prevailed. And as the chaos and din of battle began to part, the elite of the Everlight Church, Imam Talem and his bishops, came forth. The battle was quick, if not bloody, and in the end, not many stood. And as one grand historian, one woman perhaps hurt the most by this conflict, tried to make a grand sacrifice, it was instead a man who perhaps brought that hurt upon so many who would sacrifice instead. And thus, the Everlight Church had been defeated. And we'll talk a bit more about what happened in that gap, don't you let me wrong. But right now, well, right now there's a party to get to, isn't there? It's been, I'm going to say for the sake of brevity, roughly about 3 weeks of downtime with a week of preparation. So about a month, about a solid month, maybe a month and a week, give or take, since that battle, since that fated day where you all faced down the church and laid them low. You have had time to yourselves, time with your comrades, time with your thoughts, time to reflect on things, the present, past, or future. And thus we find ourselves in the central war room of the main castle at Westreach, converted over into a massive open ballroom. Jewelry and finery and lavish decoration from all across the breadth of the Everlight's empire has been brought in and placed in this place, a sort of gesture of treaty, of partially of what they must pay in sort of recompense for the wars they rout upon this land. All of anyone who is anyone across Westreach and even places elsewhere outside of the Gilded Coasts have gathered in this space here around the High Council. There is festivity to be had, a band providing lively music. There is a full array of any food you can think from all across the lands, foreign affair, and all kinds of things. Anyone you feel is important to have here can be here. Anyone who is important to have and otherwise, you can throw yourself into a flashback scene for. Of course, you all, as members of the High Council, due to receive medals and accords for your glorious efforts in the war, have to be here. But, I guess otherwise, we'll start off with, let's do it like this. We're going to go around the horn one more time, and you can tell me, in this current moment, two things. Tell me two things. One, who did your character walk in with? Who they show up with for this affair? By themselves? With someone? What's the setup? And two, where are they at right now? What are they getting into? And from there, honestly, if someone puts himself in the scene, you're like, yeah, let me step into that as in character. Or if you want to, y'all know how the fuck I do this. Y'all know what I'm about to say. The scene is yours.
But you said you were gonna go around the horse. Do you want to pick who goes first?
Y'all, listen. This is it's like a classroom. Offer yourselves, or I'll pick on them if I have to. Like, you know.
Popcorn.
Exactly. You can popcorn it.
Yeah. So I think Airdrie. It would be wrong to say he comes in with Drya, the queen of the Palefall Elves, but he does sort of come in, like, as her, not guard, but like before her, almost announces her. But that's
You're
like
a herald. Makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that behind her, as almost like her honor guard, is Arya And Airdrie, like, specifically doesn't interact with either of them when he enters. He immediately tries to, like, busy himself with introductions. And most people who don't know him would be like, oh, that's just polite. But I think the three of his companions and also Nauri probably realizes that he is avoiding at least one, if not both of them, by doing so.
Hate to say it, buddy, but it's probably at least a little obvious.
I think that just like the whole elvish ability to just not react to anything at all, again, for people who are not familiar. But yeah, anyone who's observant or familiar with elves is like, oh yeah, he looks weird and nervous about this.
Aw, what a cutie.
And he is to Nari, the queen, and then also to Drea is like my queen. Like he makes a specific point of that.
Naudi actually quirks an eyebrow at this and just says, but simply says, it is an honor to have your company in my presence. Drea does a very low bow, which, Airdrie, you would know, as an elven queen, she doesn't do to a lot of people, honestly. It's an incredibly respectful show of, like, well, of respect, I guess. Naudi offers a hand, which Drea kisses. And it's just like, please, make yourself pleasured and accompanied here. Anything that my estate has is yours to enjoy. She definitely cuts a few eyes around the room in saying that, when she says anything that is of my estate. Maybe makes a bit of eye contact with a few of you. It's a sort of like a, you know. Drea, just for her part, just kind of, you know, sleeps around, bit of a low chuckle in sort of an elven, I can see what's happening here kind of way, but, you know. Just, I intend only to enjoy the festivities, milady, but I thank you. And yeah, Airdrie, you're just watching these two. It's kind of it's definitely eye fucking. It's not, yeah, it's definitely eye fucking. I'm not even gonna be like kind of subtle about that. Like it's.
He was fucking.
Like if Naudi had done this like a bunch of other people, you'd probably be really uncomfortable right now. In fact, maybe you still are. I don't know. Up to you.
I don't think Airdrie's uncomfortable about that. He just doesn't want to be here when conversation opens to like talking to him. So he'll very quickly start like, excuse me, I need to go check with security.
Homer in the bushes. Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's intro for him.
I would like to popcorn into this scene.
Please.
Because I have such a delightful image in my head and I need to share it.
Do the thing.
So, Airdrie tries to stealthily get away.
Politely leave.
Stealthily get away and avoid the people that he most definitely does not want to talk to. That is most definitely interrupted by a couple of children, an older boy and a younger girl. Specifically, the boy running up to Airdrie and just kind of grabbing the edge of his tunic and asking, hey, are we gonna play with the swords again later? Uncle Airdrie?
God,
oh my
Airdrie does smile, even like with all this propriety, and it's like a kneel to get on his level. It's like, well, one of the things we'll learn is that a sword must be used when it is appropriate, and never when it's frivolous.
But you're wearing your sword right now.
We will.
You're
like, well, it is a mark of my station. But we will. We will. I promise.
Fine.
He's
and
gonna, like,
not
pat his head.
long after Lydia walks up behind him, puts a hand on Kel's shoulder and shakes her head and says, I apologize. He saw you and got overexcited.
It's to be understood.
So I see the Queen and Arya are both here. Are you avoiding them again?
Again, well, I don't know I have much to say to the queen. And again, like the kind of thing you wouldn't notice until you like know elves or Airdrie specifically. It's like, and I don't, he's like very awkward, like, and I don't know what to say to Arya yet.
I don't think you ever disclosed what that encounter you had with her was when you first came to meet the queen.
Well.
Obviously, you don't have to go into detail about it. At this point, I'm just teasing you.
Yeah, it's like, well... And I believe you guys were, like, maybe at a distance. Like, you didn't arrive with him, but you were behind. So you wouldn't have seen it, but definitely you saw he was very flustered when he came out of his meeting with the queen, so he's like, well, yes, I suppose. I am not really sure what it was either. You seen Fane around?
At that moment, you hear like a champagne bottle. Fane has a gilded sword out. It's not like a sword for fighting. It is one of those like champagne swords specifically.
Yeah.
And
a
there's just like
sword specifically.
Yeah, that's a thing, right?
Airdrie hates it. No, I'm not saying you're wrong, but Airdrie hates it.
It's her ceremonial sword, and she absolutely uses it for champagne because she doesn't carry a sword, but like you said, it's part of the station. So it's this like petrified wood blade, and she's like, "Fa-tunk!" And there's just like a big, like, from the other corner.
I do want to engage with that question if you'll let me. If the oldest is saying that's not a real sword. That is a toy in the shape of a sword.
Yeah, but it's a gorgeous toy.
I really want
and
this
if there's
to be
one thing that people say about Fane, it's that she has a wonderful array of toys.
He does have a lot of gorgeous toys around.
Kale's just gonna cross his arms and look at you square in the eye and say, "You told me that even if it's a toy, I'm supposed to treat it like a real weapon."
Well, I hope that you are a more obedient student than Fane was.
You taught Fane how to fight?
Partially. To admit it, she has learned quite a bit of her own.
The scene with Fane, just the people around her are obviously Drya is there. And Fane has this like overflowing bottle and is pouring for Drya, and I think Nyx is also there. And so like pouring for Drya, it's very much like, oh yeah, I'm getting you drunk tonight. And pouring for Nyx, it's like,
Herman, my daughter is around. Can you behave yourself?
No, never.
You're the one who said the queen basically offered us all up as toys for the elf queen.
Before my daughter got here. Listen, you go in the bed.
I had 2 literal children with me.
Yeah, that was just not
This is
within
something,
earshot.
though. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, that's a perfectly like, you could float that one over some children.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like when Fane goes to pour the glass for Nyx, there's eye contact, and then just like Fane like immediately like straightening up and waiting until like a very minor movement from Nyx, and then she'll immediately stop and set down the bottle. Actually, no, she pours herself a big fat drink as well.
Of course. The biggest, fattest drink.
The biggest, fattest drink.
It's like a fucking stoogie of a drink.
The scene is getting interrupted as well.
Uh-oh. Another one.
Another one, but I'm sorry, I need to stop.
That scene is getting interrupted as well because the second kill heard that Fane knows other ways to fight. He's immediately
Actually, immediately forgets his words as this child scampers off. It's like...
Yeah, and I think, is Alma there as well?
Yeah, almost there. So not far behind her brother.
Yeah, there's they kind of make their way through like a parting in the crowd, and Fane, seeing them running, is just like, somebody take my drink, and just like foists it off on Draka, and just like scoops both of them up like into her arms. I don't know how big they are, but Fane is big enough that this is doable.
Kind of doesn't matter.
You are 8 feet, love. I don't think it's a problem.
I'm
You can do this with 2 air trays, maybe.
They could be adults. Like, it wouldn't matter.
I'm big.
It's a big.
All 5'2" of Lydia could
lady.
sit on your shoulder.
Yeah, it's just like an immediate like scoop. Oh, greetings, you two, and the like her claws and feathers kind of like hold them in place as she secures them. I see you were speaking with Airdrie. He being a fuddy-duddy again.
Oh, fuddy-duddy.
What did that?
Hell says he's always being a fuddy-duddy.
Can we get some fuddy-duddies in chat?
Can you get a fuddy-duddy in the chat, please?
For your local fuddy-duddy.
I love the fuddy-duddy with my friends.
But he told me that he taught you some stuff, but you also know other stuff, like how to fight and things. So I came to bother you about that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Already learning how to fight? Look, and Fane will kind of look over at Drya, or not Drya, Draka. There are as many ways to fight as there are people in the world. And I can teach you what I know, and other people can teach you what they know. But ultimately, it's your dance to perform every time you do it.
I think it's actually Alma that kind of pipes up a little bit and actually kind of looks like leans over in the shoulder grip and flicks, flicks her like her brother in the forehead. And just, no, dolt. Like she means that he means that Fane can do stuff kind of like this, and she holds up both hands and squeezes really, really hard, like, and you'll see just a couple of small sparkles gather up between her fingers and flitter up immediately, just like that, right?
Immediately, Fane goes into, take a deeper breath.
And it's
Smoother.
like, yeah, she's slowly just calming her breath. And Lydia, you're right there, not far from this. You kind of can definitely feel a distinct, both of you can definitely feel like that small swell of magical energy. It's not much, a blip, but it's controlled. It's really well maintained. And as she kind of lets that final breath out, there's a small gathering, like a star system almost, just in her hands. Just, wow.
Your fight, and she looks over at Kale, will be like the waves on the beach. It will be a roar. It will be powerful. It will wash your enemies away. And then she turns to Alma. Your fight will be like the sun beating down over a desert. Warm, ever present, wearing things thin until they decide they no longer want to fight. I'll teach you both everything that I can.
And they both just light up, obviously. Just a voice from the side of you. Actually, no. Nope. We still have one other person to check in on. I didn't forget about you. You didn't think you were
trying to sneak out of the ball.
No, Rio's actually doing.
No,
the
he's sneaking in, even though he's invited.
Yeah, even though he's invited, he's sneaking in. So there's probably a balcony of some sort. Rio will kind of just either coming from the roof or like climbing up from underneath the railing. He will kind of just like almost just appear and kind of just straighten his attire out and kind of just walk in silently, not making any like grand gestures or anything, but kind of just appearing as Rio does.
I'm imagining you walking past Draka and just picking up Fane's wine glass from her.
So fucking lootly.
Yeah, that sounds about right, honestly.
Yeah. You shouldn't be drinking this around kids.
Hey,
Goodbye.
You should drink it around kids, so I'll drink it
And
around
this is
kids.
the
Thank you
character now.
very much.
This is obviously my wine. It was already ready for me. Hey,
Love
hey!
that.
Fane's preoccupied with the kids. She's being a good aunt. But yeah. Let's see what Rio would probably be looking for Morgan in particular. For no particular reason.
So, it's hard at first because you know how Morgan looks. Traditionally, kind of soft femme to a degree, you know, but still like never like necessarily like putting like too much more than like, you know, relatively ambiguous here or there. And it's hard to find someone matching that look. Eventually you're tapped on your shoulder, and you turn and see you're almost not certain at first because this, well, I mean, listen, this is someone who's, let's say that they're, if on the soft
It's
femme
been a
to high
while.
femme spectrum, they're a high femme. And they look,
Okay.
well, the last time you saw Morgan, they were fully changed. And the person you're looking at right now is, well, not. They look human. Long, flowing hair, much longer than Morgan's was. A slender build, a dress in sapphire, just like all about them, gold lining at the edges. And they just kind of smile at you. Hello again, Rio.
Oh, fuck. Hello? And it'll kind of like, it'll take like a split second, but a noticeable amount, just like, oh, Morgan.
It's good to see you again. It's been about a month. I hope you've been well since things have been less, well, less.
Less is a fair way to say it. I have been maintaining my sleep more, if in case you're worried.
Oh, aren't I lucky?
Sorry, my fucking heart. Fuck. I was wanting to do this, just as like out of character thing. I was wanting to do this as like a flashback scene, but actually now would make more sense.
Do it.
Rio will kind of like look around and see if Ithaca's there, hoping that she's not.
You don't see anyone that looks anything like Ithaca, and also you don't think Ithaca would be allowed here, given, you know,
Stature.
yeah,
Yeah.
situation and stature and things.
That's fair. Rio will kind of like look away, almost like just at the floor, kind of like nervous. Say, I did have some things I wish to discuss with you, if you wouldn't mind.
You'll hear a chuckle, actually. Nervousness. From Rio Branshaw, of all people. Certainly this must be the end times. Out with it, then.
I wasn't sure how you felt towards me, and had ideas, can't really find the right word for it, but was wondering if you had felt for me romantically.
I'm just gonna say it. Right?
They genuinely kind of step it back a bit and just... brash and oblivious to the end. Of course I did, moron. But it's It's not just about that. It's never about that. You fool. All this time spent watching your back, cleaning your records, and tracking your books. All this time taking care of you. The only thing I've ever wanted is for you to be happy. I've hoped it's been with me, but it's never had to be.
Fuck.
Take your time, baby boy.
Rio will blush.
Oh.
And he'll kind of like run his like fingers through his hair as he's like he hasn't really like come forth with someone about with how he's like genuinely feeling about them.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll say, and I didn't really know how to say this before because of the the power dynamic between us. I also harbored feelings for you, and I didn't know really how to broach the subject since I was technically your employer, and well,
Then you could
things
not broach the
have
subject and
changed.
just dance with me.
Very well.
And
he will
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
They'll take your hand and pull you towards the large middle of what normally where the war table is, which has been kind of removed and made just to an open sort of dance pavilion. The band music plays on, and they just kind of allow time to just sort of, enjoy the space with them. Everyone who sees you recognizes you as a member of the High Council, and thus offers a nice circle of space for you to just, celebrate. And whether your dancing is jovial or calm or peaceful, there is a space that, for a while at least, only the two of you exist in.
My
You
so
don't have
I
to
If you need a
feeling
second.
Yeah, take your time, bud.
Fuck. Emotions.
If you need a s-
Complicated?
If you need
Yes.
a second, I really like this idea that Lydia and Airdrie, like whatever they were doing, did stop for a second and saw that. And Airdrie's like, how can a man so skilled in stealth be so oblivious and yet so direct and blunt? I don't understand it. Mortals are strange.
This man continues to confuse me. How?
Airdrie, I want you to think back on that statement and think back to how you react to these similar situations.
This
Fane,
is-
having deposited the
the children.
shadows, is going to walk up and say, I've mostly noticed it to be a trend among men. You should have seen Jelthrax,
I did not want to.
The urge. Nope, not gonna do
Always
it.
mad when you bring that image up.
Nope. I think faintly, they definitely haven't heard what was said, but faintly across the room, a newly minted Lord of the Everlight Church, or dare I say, Lady of the Everlight Church, Draka, who has been hanging out around the rest for a while, looks up at Fane and takes a sip from the glass she's sipping from while this is being said, this comment about this behavior only happening in men. He doesn't hear the comment clearly, but something about that cosmic twist where you just make eye contact at the right exact second when you know someone's bullshitting. I mean, what? Anyway,
I would like to think that I wouldn't be oblivious to someone else's feelings to that extent, and also blunt with my own. But if you have a moment, I did have a question for you. I don't want to take you away from your guests.
in that moment of eye contact, Fane is just gonna give like a little wink to Draka, and
Okay.
Nyx is gonna smile, and she's gonna do the whole thing of like, before turning back to Airdrie and saying,
It's okay, I'll go
Yes.
replace your wine glass while I wrangle these kids.
I gave them specific
Leave
instructions
alone.
not to go under the bandstand.
Which you can clearly see Kale is already trying to
But
violate.
they are under the bandstand.
Yeah, Alma
Mhm.
is to her credit. Alma is not under the bandstand. She's at the edge of it, screaming at a Kale who is currently under it.
We have
These
the
children
best
are gonna make
kids.
Lydia get on her hands and knees to drag this child out.
Aren't they
You
great?
gotta have some magic to pull them out. I'm just saying.
I
Gotta
do.
use just some nope.
So help me
Yeah,
God, I
I
will
can-
ward the bandstand.
Wall of
not
force around the underside of
make
it.
Do not make me put a bubble around the stand.
Okay, wait. I need the Fane and Lydia
You.
co-mom
That's a
arc
3.
actually yesterday. I need it yesterday. Like, it's so good.
Making
I will
Lydia
put
come
you
to
in a
free is probably one of
timeout
the-
pocket. I will do.
I will put you in the bag of timeout. Don't play with me, okay? Oh my
Back to the Aaron.
With Fane, it's like takes you to like her office. There's like she's got paperwork to do, and it's just like, hey, here's a book. Sit down on that chair, and then you just can't stand up from it.
It just can't move.
Magically moved
We
it on their thought.
we don't do time out in the nest. We do time in. You just have to hang out with me.
Oh, God, that's almost
Again.
worse.
I need the Lydia Fane co-mom
we
arc.
do mandatory study time.
Hey,
Why
my
not?
parents did time in, not time out, because time out didn't work for my brother.
All right,
But,
listen,
like, yep.
last joke
That was-
before we get back in character. Lydia doing ancient history courses with the kids and then being like, "I'm pretty sure this event happened on this year." And Lydia's like, "No, that's not. You're wrong." Well, how do you know? I was there.
Andrea,
This
just
book
accept
you're
it.
reading
She's
right
gonna know
now,
that better
that's
than
not
you.
a credible author.
This-
I met him. He was a dick.
He's a liar.
Lydia getting Kale's school reports. Kale, for the 5th time, you cannot cite me as a credible source, okay? We've done this already. Like,
Source my mom told me.
but Ma, you were there. You saw it. Like,
Fane, absolutely sitting down and bullshitting like, hey, I'm Fane. How would I cite my mom as a source? Oh, well.
I love this derail. Okay. All right. I'm
It's
sorry.
amazing.
Let's bring it right back. I believe he left off on Airdrie and Fane having a moment while Lydia went to wrangle kids from the bandstand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Andrea would like stop for a minute, like collect his thoughts on how to say this. He's like, well, you're sharp-eyed enough to realize that I'm avoiding my ex. Arya revealed some things to me, and it's complicated. I would consider you, say, the expert on relationships amongst us. I could use some advice.
What's the complication?
We were betrothed before I was banished, and I spent many years accepting that that was the end of it. Apparently, she did not. And I'm no longer banished. And those feelings have returned. But she also may be involved in somewhat with someone else. I'm just
And
not sure.
And she
Hmm.
told you that meant she wasn't open to you. In more or less
I think she's.
those words.
I believe so. She said she hadn't decided. I told her she needed. That I would give her that space, that there was nothing that I needed from her at the moment, I should say, but. Do I wait until she makes a decision? Do I say something more? I don't know this other elf that she's involved with. I just know that she has a son or a child of some kind and live far away. It's. And Andrea, like, I guess, like, fingers the pommel of his sword at his hip and just. It's. complicated.
Did you use he or she in that sentence?
I don't know the gender of the child, actually.
Referencing the other person for your partner.
Oh, she.
Okay.
At least my understanding, she.
Airdrie.
Hmm.
I think that you've lived so long and not seen the boundless love that can be in a heart. You are as worthy of love as anyone else here. And I truly believe that if it is meant to be, and you are clear and honest with her, you could form any kind of attachment together that worked for you. But be honest, so that if she thinks there's not room for that kind of relationship, she can be honest with you, and you can form the attachment that's right, whatever that might be. There are so many ways to love and be loved. Don't waste time by twiddling your thumbs and being nervous. If Airdrie, our good friend Rio, is anything to judge by, and she gestures over at the dance, it's not worth waiting to tell somebody your feelings. The rest
I also love the idea.
can be navigated. The rest can be navigated as the tides come in and out.
I love the idea that, like, maybe just in Airdrie's head, there's like a quick flashback to maybe him like training Fane and having almost a very similar conversation about like a fight of like, don't wait for an opportunity. Don't worry and twiddle your thumbs about the opening. And like he's brought back to that moment and just...
Yeah, it would be deliberate.
Mm-hmm. It's like a very similar language and he just...
And maybe she's even like pulled out one of the knives and is like repeating the gestures of that fight in miniature.
Yeah, like I don't know if you've done fencing, but there's always like this two-finger gesture that you just do when you're like talking about or imitating like a certain sequence, and it's like something like that with the small knife and just. You know, I don't know that I've been fair to you. I've thought of you still as my student, but it feels as though you've surpassed that a long time ago.
Airdrie, I have never, for a single day, stopped learning from the things that you have told me, and from your example. If you live long enough, like love, you can find learning from anyone.
I would like to add a
very
small
wise.
detail. As you two both like look towards Rio and Morgan dancing, you will kind of notice that it's Rio has like let his guard down and he is actually letting himself be happy in this moment, and just like a genuine like happy smile is on his face as he is dancing with Morgan.
Wee baby boy.
He never takes my advice. I told him he should get gilded rings for his horns. It's dignified, I suppose.
It's probably also flashy, and to be fair to the young, they don't tend to listen to their elders as often as they should. Also looks over at the two children who are probably being wrangled out from under the
Lydia
bandstand
has
right
one
now.
by like a what is it, like floating hand? It's like the just
Mage
like
hand?
an aberration. Mage hand, just mage hand holding the boy by the leg. Yeah.
I suppose it's up to us to be patient with them. And then he just sort of like, it's almost like the smart, like, at attention pose that Airdrie has taught to so many, but is still ingrained in him, that he just like resets his mind. He says, well, wish me luck, and I think we can go to someone else's scene, but we'd leave with Airdrie, like, walking towards Arya.
Yeah, I think I like that. That sounds fine.
Wish me luck.
Anything else that we want to have right here? As actually, I think, is anything else we want to do right? Any of the scenes we want to play out right now? Anything else? Anything else feeling critically important? Anything that's about to like slide us off a quick little break, maybe?
I think I do want a scene of Thane checking in with Draka.
Ah, perfect.
Because things are very different for her now.
You know what?
And you said earlier she's Lady of the Everlight Church, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Specifically not Crusader Lady, because that's not the title anymore. Yeah. So you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. Because I think I like the kind of the parody in both of those scenes compared to sort of where another thing happens. So let's snatch our break right here real quick. We'll come back on both of those scenes, the check-in with Arya and the check-in with Draka. Because then I got a fun little thing I want to do that might involve our little purple friend over there.
Uh-oh.
And then I got another one that might involve our slightly less than alive friend down over there. So I think it'll be a perfect little parody of everybody getting a little bit of love. Everybody getting a little bit of love.
Less than alive,
Things all
slightly more
here.
than
Exactly. Everybody getting a little bit of love. So you know what? Y'all don't touch that dial, that browser, or anything else. We'll be right here and back and beautiful in about 5 to 10 minutes roughly. Please stay safe and careful, and we'll see you in a bit. Take us away, voice of God. And we return to the epilogue episode of Against the Light. We resume the Victory Ball. The High Council are all hanging around, attending to new things and seeing how the world has changed for them. We cut back in just about exactly where we left off, as one resident Ranger General of House Vairdans steps off and, well, appears to approach an old flame. And why don't you go ahead and set the old scenio for me, Tape Boss?
Yeah, I imagine Arya has not left the side of Queen Drea, and so she's still there, and I think Airdrie, having made up his mind, and because he's the kind of person who definitely has already considered all the angles, does walk directly towards them and bows slightly at Arya, kind of ignores the queen a little bit, and is just, Arya, I'd like to talk with you, and I don't care who hears, but I don't know if you would like to do so in private.
Arya looks a little bit aback and then looks over at Drea, who looks over. Airdrie, I don't know if you have your sheet up right now. You might want to let me a real quick, I guess charisma save if you don't mind. Or no, sorry, intelligence save actually if you don't mind. Intelligence save for me.
Oh, intelligence? That's great.
Yeah.
I have a -1 in that shit.
Oh, I didn't know that. My bad. Oh well.
It's fine. It's 16.
Cool. That's not bad. Not enough though. You feel just like a faint ghosting across your brain.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Drea. You could know this feeling already.
Yeah. I don't think he'd resist that even. He's just like, if you want to poke in my head,
yeah.
until she like tries to compel him to do something, he doesn't care.
No, it's either just slight little wave of across your brain, and then you'll see her quirk a smile and tilt her head as an indicating that Arya is allowed to go, and she'll step off to a side of the party and allow you to go with her.
Mm-hmm.
Did she just vibe check him?
Yeah, kind of.
Probably, but she's psychic, so.
Yeah.
Edge would follow, and once they're like far enough away, it's probably actually closer than most like humans would be comfortable having this conversation, but both of them can hear each other at like super low volumes. It's very much like a not just elf, but like trained soldier kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Airdrie, while maintaining this sort of neutral face, and through this whole speech, he doesn't like crack or like change his expression, but it's subtle and I think meaningful for him and for her. He's, Arya, I left the possibility of us many years ago. And when we last met, I hadn't yet processed what it means that it's possible again. And I will respect any decision you make on how a relationship goes forward. But I need you to know I want some kind of relationship. I want all of us together. You have inspired me since we were quite young. You move as gently as the wind through leaves. And your face is as bright as the sun dappled on the surface of a river. Your laugh is like the faintest of bells, and your wit sharper than our blades together. I don't know what to do about how I feel, other than to say that whatever direction your life takes and wherever you go, in whatever capacity you'll let me. And Airdrie uses just a little bit of druidcraft, like this just bare spit of magic that he learns as a ranger, and creates a single flower. I think it's a tiger lily, actually, which is like extremely rare for the actual place they lived in, but I think that's the point, and it probably has a certain amount of symbology to them, like it means something. It's like this is her flower. It's like, but wherever you go, I'm yours.
I would pity you for your lack of efficient timing, if it weren't so damn characteristic of you.
In my defense, I was compelled by international war.
Is that what it takes, then?
To stop me from confessing? Absolutely.
Flattering. I'll be honest, Airdrie. I am still thinking through many things. The world around us shifts rapidly. Thankfully, however, I could not imagine a future of mine that does not have you in it in some capacity. Where that space in my heart is, I'm not quite sure. But know that that space is yours, and will always be.
I have this like thought that, again, neither of them emote super clearly to like the outside world, but I just imagine Airdrie like very gently cupping this flower to Arya, and she like very gently cupping it back. And it's... I don't know how to say that I feared and cherished the thought of this for years.
She cups your hand in the flower and kisses the top of your forehead.
I like to imagine she's taller than Airdrie. Like, Airdrie's not exceptionally tall, but she's like a very large, like, sword lady. I don't know. She's the captain of the Shield Sisters, so.
Big lady.
No, she'll kiss the top of your forehead and just, there isn't much you have to say.
If the queen will allow it, and again, he's like, maybe try and project this specifically. It's like, may I have this dance?
I'd be honored.
And yeah, we'll join, I guess, the dance floor where there's other people.
Yeah, and much the same with when Rio and Morgan took to the floor, recognizing a member of the High Council and a leader of the Shield Sisters in one spot. A circle will kind of clear on the floor to allow you two space to just celebrate in this moment with each other. And barring anything else. Go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, I imagine, especially with like elves in general, that the like leading and following actually shifts pretty rapidly between the two of them. So it's like, yeah, they're dancing the same way as everyone else, but it's just who's actually in like the leading role and the following role is just anyone's guess at any moment if you're not very familiar.
Yeah, of course, that makes perfect sense. And I think as we're kind of watching this shifting elven graceful dance move around this sort of strange circle that the crowd has opened up for them, we cut over off to another member of the High Council who has gone to check in on someone else here at the party. Thane, what you up to, love?
So I have a question for you first.
Hit me.
Does Draka stay in the main hall, or is there any point at which she excuses herself?
I think there's definitely a moment she gives herself a little bit of space from like the whole of the party, kind of just like separating and offering herself a small moment of, you know, momentary peace as she's kind of like, she definitely seemed to be a little in her thoughts the whole time she's been here. So she does separate for a moment to go and give herself a little bit of peace eventually.
Yeah, Fane will approach from a distance, but kind of using minor illusion, she'll just like send a shower of flower petals, like moving past the periphery of Draka's vision.
No, go ahead, please.
No, that's all.
Yeah. I think she kind of jumps a tad, just, oh, Fane, you look ravishing as usual.
You look stunning.
Uh,
You all right?
She is wearing, for context, what looks almost like, it's hard to separate it from like what looks like it could be a combination of like a dress and like a three-piece suit. It's, you know, pants, like suit pants. It's got kind of like a shirt and jacket with a trill at the top, but the coat of the shirt, like around the back, the tail of the shirt just drips and drops off into two long tails on either side of her. And kind of like, you know, the jacket itself kind of fits into her curve well with kind of a bit of shoulder pad. She has several pins on her in a similar manner to like a military general would, depicting several different campaigns. She also has another one on that, strangely enough, looks like it depicts the loss in the last campaign, but almost like bearing it with honor, almost. And she just, apologies, these have never been my kind of occasion. Was gathering some air is all.
You're allowed to do anything that you need to take care of yourself here. I can only imagine what this must feel like on your side.
My life has been a battlefield after a battlefield. A conflict after a conflict. A kill after another kill. This political theater is a world I am divorced from. It confuses and vexes me. And yet, if we are to keep this peace, it is a battle I must fight.
So like you to see a battle in what is more of a game. No, conversation. I know that because of my position and your position, I can't offer the kind of close companionship I would like to give you. But I want you to know that if you ever need to speak to me, not as a member of Nauti's court, or even as a member of the Fey Enclaves as they return to the eastern side of the Gilded Coast, I am here. I am happy to take any piece of this burden to help you bear it. You've lived a scant number of years compared to some people I know, but I think you've borne as much as anybody in that time.
She puts a hand on your shoulder and smiles a little and just... it's like... It's a reach up, but it's just like... It's very soft and just... You have already given me...
she's small either. It wouldn't be that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, she's not too small. She's like...
Was she 7 feet tall?
Like she's like 6'2", easily. You know, like she got some height.
Okay, well.
You know, any case, the point being, and she kind of just says, "You have already given me more than enough. I have taken so much from what you have taught me in this short time, and I know there is still yet more to learn. I am thankful to have someone like you at my side as I move forward. The world looks very confusing without you next to it."
I've had to make the change from the battlefield to the political arena, and I want you to know that it's not easy, but I think people like you are needed here. Unlike so many people out there, you know what it looks like when the rot starts to eat at something. And while I would like to think that this won't happen again, I'm glad to know. Exactly. I'm glad to know that your eyes are there to spot it and to keep all of them. And she gestures at the nobility that is gathered, the people who did not fight the way that she and Fane have fought and Airdrie has fought in long campaigns, in bitter wars. I'm glad you're there to read the stars for them. And I will be there for you. And she kind of reaches. It's less of like a hand on shoulder, because that's not quite right here, but it's more like those, trailing feathers just kind of caressing like the shoulder and the back and the side of Draka.
Yeah, she welcomes the embrace, kind of just like, almost even like you could see as like she kind of pulls you in a bit into like a tighter hold, steps to the side a bit to kind of like separate you all from like the main press of like the doorway, so that you can kind of just like, not like, pushing you like, like over religiously yet at least, but more just kind of separating from the crowd to allow you to this moment of just like solace and quiet amongst two people who care very deeply for each other, regardless of the circumstances which brought them together. They, she steps off to just hold you, and much like in the moment before, outside of Dryas Castle, a few tears slip from her as she just kind of lets herself go a bit in this moment.
The way that this is framed by the camera, it is absolutely us in silhouette, the warmth of the party, like cutting through us, kind of stained glass light. The hall that we are next to is like blue and cold and stone. And then we get that cut from like behind Fane's ear onto not Draka's whole face, but just her cheeks as the tears roll down.
Love a little cinema here, you know that. And I think what happens sort of next is we cut back in. The party's beginning to wane down a little. You've all been told there will be some announcements, some things told, and some changes made here. Mostly just terms of full terms of surrender for the Everlight Church and other things as far as treaties, negotiations, and land and other things. As this dancing is settling in, that, well, Rio, you and Morgan part. It's not a full separation, but the dancing stops and they smile at you and say, "We may not find many moments like this in the future, but I'm glad to have had this one."
Likewise.
I would go speak with Lady Nowity. There are goodbyes I was not able to make before all of this. Do you like, by the way, she says, like playing, or they say playing with their hair. It's a fun bit of illusion magic, actually.
I was wondering about that. It does
I've
look
gained many
very
tricks. Thank you.
nice.
Yeah, and they kind of like, smile and they look at you a little and like look over to where they can see Nowdy talking to nobles and back and forth to you like several times before they very quickly lean up and like peck you on the lips and dart off. I love you.
Listen, I don't want to describe the noise I just made.
No, I'm happy for you, honestly. You and your whale noises.
Whatever it was, Rio's making it internally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rio. Rio would just be kind of just almost like he had been turned to stone, just like stunned
Yeah.
for like a solid 2 seconds.
I'm
I'd
Medusa
just be
turned
like-
to stone, you say?
I could make it. No, I'm not making that joke.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Nope. No.
Not to Airdrie, you're
Not-
Goodness. That's insensitive.
That would be rude.
That would be TOS.
In either case,
In any case, Rio will kind of slink back into like the outskirts and kind of just like be the fly on the wall as he usually is.
there's some people hanging out on the walls as well, kind of, like keeping their distance. There's a small little bench actually you can kind of like take a seat on if you want, kind of sit on by the wall, kind of people watch for a bit. You can also stand next to it if you want.
Yeah.
But there is a voice actually that you hear just from the bench next to you. Just, that was lovely. You two really do make a lovely couple. How long have you known them? There's a woman sitting on the bench, just normal looking, relative, like looks like a human woman, long silver hair, a red dress on, and a drink in her hand, just sipping idly and smiling.
About, oh goodness, 7 years now? It's been a while since I've seen them, and it may be even longer till I see them again.
The woman says, "It does a heart like mine joy to see that, even in turbulent times, the fates can weave together two souls like yours to give you time. That makes me happy. It truly does."
Makes mine happy as well.
A lot of things will be changing soon. The world will be growing different with all of this done. Promise me that you two will hold each other close.
Yeah.
You'll see her smile. Sorry, go ahead, please.
And he'll kind of like, as he was saying, it'll be even longer till I see her again. He'll kind of like slide in. You never really know what you have till you don't have it.
Her smile drops a bit actually, and indeed, I had someone once. I was foolish and allowed them to slip from me. I thought I'd had the chance to get them back, to win her favor, but I failed in doing so. It is a pain I don't wish on anybody else, as she perks up a little bit. But this is a place for festivity. And you, both of you, look young and happy. Maintain that happiness.
I'm not that young. I'm only 40.
She smiles again. Youth is a measure of mental, not one of physical. But again, you never did promise. Promise me you will hold that happiness.
Absolutely.
She smiles and leans in. Actually, it looks like really almost like you could tell. She's nursing this drink. It was decently maybe about 3/4 full when you walked over. Over the course of y'all talking, it's just about bottomed out. To be assumed, yeah, she's maybe a little sauce. She kind of leans over like she wants to kind of like put an arm over you and talk to you. You okay with that?
Let's see.
You can say no. It's totally fine. I'm just asking for your own consent. That's all.
Yeah, Real would like if she
All
went
I'm saying
like
is you have your
over-
glasses on, use them.
Hang on.
Uh,
Hang on.
uh,
Okay. Well. Okay. Insight. I'm gonna have to do an insight because I've
Insight
been
roll
told
then.
3 times now to
Go
do
ahead.
insight.
Go ahead and
that
roll an
doesn't seem
insight
like-
then.
Okay.
Adrian would have rolled insight on this woman 3 times at this point. He'd be like, "Hey, who are you, and how do you talk to me like that?"
I mean,
Yeah.
listen. Go ahead and roll you an
I
insight
have
then.
like a handful of guesses, and they're all fucking bombshells.
Go ahead and roll
Let's
me an
see,
insight. What
what
you got?
is? Let's see. On insight, that's a proficiency.
I need to call
So-
my shot.
That is
I'd be
a
fucking
21
outrageous if this
for
woman
insight.
is fucking Soraya.
What you got?
21.
You kind of like step back a bit, like, hang on, let me get a good look at you before I let this happen. She kind of interprets that as like you don't want to be held, and so she, puts the arm down and just good. You will need that happiness. And as you close the glasses in, you can see the eyes turn slitted like a serpent. And she says, you will need it when I come for what you all stole from me. Goodbye, Rio. And the woman you can definitely now tell through the asses is Ithaca. Gets up
Sure.
and walks away.
Ithaca. If
She stops.
What?
And like kind of slowly cranes her head around.
thanks for the idea. And that is all he will say.
Yeah.
He smiles. Curious. And yeah, slinks off, a noticeable sway in her hips, almost like a serpent's tail.
Illusory magic. Illusory magic, motherfucker.
Illusory.
Illusory would be the word you're
Illusory.
looking for.
I can't English. I can't.
Vitus shouts his inability to English.
I have an inability to do many things.
So we'll cut to two other things that happen very quickly before we get out of this scene here. The first is, again, as the party slowly winds down to a bit of a close, you can see Naudi step forward onto the position that is her chair for the war table, which has now been kind of redone into what looks like, well, a throne that was taken from somewhere, you'd all assume probably from Everreach, and has been planted in the middle of where her spot is. And she sits down in it, crosses her legs, and brings a cup forward, just takes a sip, and something in that gesture brings everyone quiet. And she speaks up and says, the conditions are laid. The Everlight Church has capitulated to their surrender. Their terms and treaty has been accepted. A new era dawns. Long live House Vairdans. Today dawns the Vairdanian Empire.
What?
An empire consisted of the people. And I will not be its first imperator. In fact, this empire will never let one leader call itself its entirety. All is meant to be for the people. There is no one crown in this empire, but many. And as a single a person steps forward with a case that they open, and in this kind of ceremony, expected to be a single crown that Naori would put on, but instead it is a set of gold and silver tiaras. Nobles of various different status and rank, all from across the east and west of the Gilded Coast, all step forward and take these tiaras and place them on their heads. By the time everyone's kind of stepped away, you notice there isn't one for Naori. She doesn't wear one.
Hmm.
I respect the shit out of Nauri in this moment, but I'm also like, no.
I guess she's
I
stepping
understand, it's-
down?
Tell me again who
I imagine.
No, but
she
go ahead.
gave the tiaras to.
Mostly just various sort of like city prefects, nobles, and council members of various different shapes and sizes and statuses all across the coast. The governors of different cities, the leaders of certain military legions, the all kinds of different factions.
Were we privy to this? Okay. Thane is nowhere to be found. She has walked out before this announcement is made.
Mm.
Airdrie probably has a dossier on each of these people, and he's like taking notes on how graciously they take each of these and their like actions immediately after. Of like, are my suspicions confirmed as to which of the ones I'm gonna have to like pay a visit to? Are they more chill than I think? Like he's just like a hawk, each of them.
I think you could fervently easily tell that most of the people who take these crowns take them with, well, humbly. They take them calmly and with reverence. There are a few that definitely you look like, I'm going to have to pay a visit to them and let them know, like, this is not a position of power for you. This is a position of accountability for you. As everyone finishes gathering a tiara, Naori speaks up again. These tiaras are not a symbol of status. They are a symbol of responsibility. They are not a symbol of power. They are a symbol of hope. Each of you wears them, knowing that the people who trust you have allowed you to wear them. And at any point in time, those can be taken from you. This is not a dynastic line. This new thing of ours, this new state, it will have its complications. I may be wrong in the centuries to come. But I will carry forward believing in all of you. And should the histories find me wrong, let the histories note that I carried that belief, even as I was incorrect.
Lydia taking notes.
Anyone
There
who's
is hold on.
Go
There's
ahead,
a flashback as she's saying this to her and Fane arguing violently over it.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. Why don't you go? Well, yeah, go ahead and take me there. Yeah, do the thing. Go ahead and I'm here. Let me do the thing. I got you. Yeah. Go ahead and set me there, Fane. Do the thing.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing where Nauri is like working on something in like company, and Fane slams open the door and says, "You cannot do this."
She looks up. And why can I not?
The reason this worked is because everybody was separate, independent, able to choose for themselves, like the enclaves. It is something that they opted into. What you're doing is setting this in perpetuity. This is power. This is power that people will take and use to abuse those under them. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be within your lifetime. But people centuries from now will say your name like a curse for what you've done.
The room, she says to the others who were present, and they rapidly scurry out, one closing the door behind them. She cuts you a glare. It's stone. It is lancing. You are likely right. I understand that what I am doing is putting trust in a system that ostensibly has already failed us 1,000 times. I understand that what I am doing is perpetuating what could be a power dynamic that has not allowed change, that has had to have change forced upon it. I understand that.
And why are you doing it?
Because if we don't trust in people, then why are we here? Why did we do this? If not for them.
It's not the people I fear. It is the individual. It is the person who looks on others like they're things and claws their way towards any kind of power they can carve out. And you're handing it to them on a silver platter.
And we will rip that away from them. Have we not already proven that one individual is never enough?
These are not my skies to command. These are not my hollows to keep safe. Do as you need to do. My disappointment is immeasurable, as is my love for you.
She cuts her eyes away quickly and turns to the side. I am aware of both of those things. You are dismissed, High Emissary.
I'll take my leave. And she turns on her heel, and we see, like, tears on the way out.
And cutting out of that flashback, Naudi, who is still facing all of the various prefects she's elected, brings up a hand and wipes away what looks like a forming tear as she looks at the door where she watched Fane walk out of as she was giving the same declaration. I pray I am making the right choice. And it's as this settles, as the rest discuss and chatter and banter, and some even begin to still pick up celebration and reverie again. Our High Emissary, sorry, not our Emissary, excuse me.
What are you doing to me this
No,
time?
not you. You're fine. You stay there. You're
Let's
cool.
pick on Vermin.
No, you're fine. I love you. Excuse me. Our house historian. You find yourself. I'm assuming you're somewhere in this space. Yeah. Where are you right now as this declaration is happening?
As it is happening, probably near the actual stage where these announcements and crownings are going on. The kids have basically been told to sit at the table and remain there where she can see them directly.
Imagine Deirdre sitting next to them and like kind of also being like, nope, this is the proper manners, which they're barely listening to.
And as house historian, and she is standing by the head of house.
So, you're standing by now, Ori, taking in this moment, watching, looking at the people. Lydia, do you blink? Random question.
Few and far between, I'll say.
Rare, but you do it every now and then. You catch yourself maybe on that 30 or 40-second interval between blinks. You pause and close your eyes in a microsecond. And when you open them, you aren't in the party anymore. It's dark and cold. It's almost like a valley of some kind. You can see, tall, monolithic towers of black stone all around you. a cold wind settling just above your knee level. You've been in this place once before. This drop-off point on the way to where souls rest. It's been quite a while, though. And this figure definitely wasn't there last time. They are... It's impossible to give a physical description as, well, you really can't see them as much as feel them all around you. A presence bearing down on your consciousness, almost. It is overbearing and just ghosting past your consciousness. Did you think I would never find you? Did you think you could keep it from me? Did you think it would keep me trapped again?
The hope was simply to delay as long as possible. I knew inevitably there would be a way.
Dearest Lydia, you contain power worthy enough to slay gods, to rival destinies, to unmake empires. But I am a constant. You feel a presence bear down out of the smoke, a figure come out of from behind these large plinths and pillars. It is massive and covered in inky black shadows. It is reptilian and head multi-clawed with two wings dripping tattered flesh and skin, and a head comes down like a massive serpent. And I will have my codex! You blink again, and you are back in the party.
So there is a moment before refocusing and trying to establish herself back into this where it is a significant force of will just being pushed back into that ethereal plane of you will not have it. And if you are going to try, you will have to get through me.
The presence doesn't push back against your wall of force. It's almost like you've done this dance enough times that it knows it's not strong enough to push past you yet. So as you put up that wall, it just recedes back against your mind, and just faintly you hear, "Soon then, little sorcerer. Soon." And we resettle ourselves back on the party. Anything else we need to have happen right here, or can we move on to post-party scenes? I agree.
Want to know if Lydia shows any sign of being bothered by something, or this happened so quickly that it's just.
I think in that brief second where where she is putting up that force of will and that thoughts crossing her mind, Fane might honestly actually feel a ripple in the weave from it. But you might see her face darken for a second, and then it's back to normal.
I think if Fane feels something, she has moved herself far enough away that it rhymes with Lydia, but like she's too far away to like look over at that moment.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna say, Fane, you get a definite feeling. It's almost hard to connect it to Lydia, except for the faintest, distant, sort of threadbare connection. But more fervently, you feel this wash, almost like not over you, but over existence. Just a quick ghosting presence over everything that is, was, and might ever be. Just briefly.
Okay. Fane is in one of the towers, like in a roost, way up high. What does it look like as that passes across the world?
Oh, I love you. You feel the clouds around you darken some. Not storm darken, but just blacken a little. Just barely. Sun quickly receding, just for a moment. You feel this wash of force press across, and the curtains, or I guess anything loose that could move, shifts and rustles a bit in the wind. I'm assuming, if you don't mind to be taking liberty, there's a small plant of some kind around Fane, a small flower, a small little brush of something. Just the slightest bit, just a little, but noticeable enough that it happens so fast. It withers just a little bit as this force presses past and through everything you can feel and touch, and even things you know you can't.
When Fane finally does return to the banquet hall, until her first sip of wine, she looks cold, physically chilled. And it's difficult for her to hide that.
I actually think I kind of, if y'all don't mind, I like that space kind of as like a good scene to like separate from, with the nice ominous sort of nature of what's happening there, leaving away from this sort of jovial moment. And so, you know what? I already said we wouldn't end at 11, so here's what we'll do. Let's take one more quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap us out with some fun outro scenes. How's that sound, everybody?
It sounds sexy.
Then let's get sexy. You sexy people at home, don't touch that browser or anything, and we'll be right back. Don't worry, we're gonna come back for a little bit an extra, and we'll see y'all in just a little bit for some closing out scenes. As
bye.
Something's coming. Bye.
God, don't.
And we return to what will be the conclusory session of Against the Light. Many things have come to light. Feels like a bad pun. Many things have come to have been revealed as truth in the aftermath of the victory ball. And so what I think might work just fine. And we thought, what are you doing, small one? What are you doing? Sorry,
Mischievous child.
My dog bumped into my door.
I'm sitting here. What do you want from me?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're not destructive, okay? Any case. While I deal with this one, well, each of you, and we can go in any order you want. I know I only told one of you an order that I think might be okay. Otherwise, do your own thing. Tell me, go ahead and tell me where you're checking in with Naudi. Like, kind of like, the scene is Naudi in the war room, and it can be either before the ball, afterwards, wherever. Set it however you want, but the scene mostly involves you all checking in with your matriarch, or former matriarch. You're not really sure how that's going to work going forward, and letting her know what your plan is going forward. And so, since you already gave me a very clear picture of what you want to do, let's start off with you, Airdrie. Why not? Yeah? So, why don't you go ahead and scene set for me?
Yeah, I think this is maybe even like a day or two after the dinner. I imagine it's before either Arya or Drea have left, and wherever he can get a hold of Nauri, probably like in her private quarters, because he doesn't want to make a scene of this. or like a library or study room, he would knock on the door and wait to be invited in. And he's trying to be extremely respectful.
It's open.
My lady. He opens the door and... My lady Nari, I have a request of you.
Speak, Richard General. How may I assist you?
Airdrie would like walk in and actually like kneel and bow, and I think you could almost have a flashback, just like a single image of when he became Ranger General, when he asked for like protection and shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And back then he was probably a lot less put together, a lot scruffier, probably in like the worst shape anyone has seen him at any point, because he was in a very low place, and now he's calm and collected and is well dressed. He has not put on his jacket that is like has the symbols of his office. It is a very plain white shirt, the braces, and he says, "My Lady Vairdans, I am more than grateful for the position I've held here and your kindness, your guidance, for the position you've given me, but I must request that I be released from my position. I'm no longer banished from my people, and it has been, even by my reckoning, a long time since I have seen home or traveled the world. But I will leave that in your hands."
Now is indeed a time for change, Airdrie. You have served my court well these years. You may be much older than I, but I can see that you are still growing. And you have grown in your time here. Go. See to what you must. There will come a time where House Vairdans, nay, when all the Gilded Coasts needs you yet again. When that time comes, I will call on you to serve. Until then.
Airdrie stands up, and it warms me to know that I've left you with a capable Commander Reese who can hold my position while I am not needed. And then he like very earnestly, and if he can, like even cup her hand, like still respectfully, but just earnestly, and if ever you need me, I will be here. And after a time, I will continue to travel the coast, and as I have done, do my best to help the people.
Then you may wish to travel with a bit of information we gathered recently. And she calls for an aide who brings forward on a pillow a small stone tablet. It's no bigger than, say, I don't know, this about. It's engraved in runes that look kind of like Elvish, but they're older. They're just off in ways. It's like a proto-Elvish almost. No one we know,
Elvish,
save the house historian, can truly translate it, and even then, the wearer is too strong to gain any strong indication. What we can tell is it is, from what I understand, part of a manual for forging moonblades.
I like to imagine that even his like elvic stoicism, his eyes visibly widen. And correct me if I'm wrong, but like that's not a thing that most people know.
You're right. You're very right.
So there are imitations that have been made recently that act in a similar way, but do not have the weight. This is a gift that would incur yet another several human lifetimes of debt beyond what I've already gained from you.
Then, given your service to House Vairdans, consider us even.
He would take it graciously, and in this like even less like armored up and less dressed up like version of what he's wearing, he still has like a little pouch on his side, but he still puts it like in his shirt where it's less likely to be taken, as close to his heart as possible. He says, I cannot agree, my lady. I will be forever in your debt.
and these coasts shall be in yours. Go then, Airdre Ternatiar, former Ranger General of House Vairdans. For now. Be well.
He would bow, and I think his flavor as he leaves. The scene might be that we cut to him leaving the city, and he has one of those sandwiches, like the Ranger General, that he has eaten, like he's halfway eating, and there's like another one, obviously like wrapped in paper in like his little waist pouch. He's like, it's gonna be a while till I come back here.
Yeah, and I think we kind of part on that scene of it's Airdre walking sort of towards the gates of Westreach, sandwich in hand and another tucked away, blade secured somewhere as he moves towards his mount off
On
to
his back.
Yeah, on his back.
Oh, there's no
Moving
mount. He leaves the horse here. He's walking.
Fair enough. He's walking off to go and see what the world has to discover for the young elf, or not so young, but maybe who knows.
Young at heart, forever.
Do you tell anybody else that you're leaving? Like when you're leaving?
But I mean, if we want that scene, he definitely would have gone to each of you, and like specifically had a moment. But
I would just say like you're getting a send-off party because these kids are not letting you leave without.
Aww.
When you
scene.
when you come to tell Fane, like it's one of those things of like the air turns to autumn and like she knows. It's like, oh, it's time for him to move on.
Yeah, I feel like she's very familiar. Like she's had this conversation more than once with him, and so it's become rote. But he's still as formal as ever. Is like, as is my wont, I leave for the next adventure.
And she puts the claw up to his cheek. No, you don't need to say anything. Go in peace. And she does that extremely like respectful, like forehead to forehead contact. With
he'd return it.
the nuzzle.
Although he doesn't have to bend nearly as much.
Little nuzzle.
If you'd allow it, I think it'd be fun if Lydia and the kids are there too, considering you're already trying to like kind of co-parent.
I think that's cute.
I love it.
Just unintentionally, they're together in the they're like together in the courtyard or something when Airdre approaches.
And I imagine this is like
hold on.
maybe
I want to paint the scene so bad.
Yeah.
In the courtyard, there's a big like oak tree and a fountain. And I think Kale is by the fountain, kind of splashing in it. And Alma is like just like leaning up against Fane, and they're both like under the tree. And they've been taking a nap.
Oh, they're so fucking cute.
I don't know what Lydia's doing. Lydia can be doing whatever. I do imagine it involves a big goth parasol that is already underneath like some awnings. It's like extra shade.
My God.
She has a personal little gazebo.
When you upcast summon chair.
Yeah, so I imagine like Airdre doesn't finish his sentence with Fane because she's so familiar, and then would turn to like Lydia and maybe the kids who probably are sort of keying in that something's happening. And you don't know my ways as well, although perhaps you do, House Historian, as you know many things. But I do not stay still for long, even by your standards. It is my way to move. Always move. I've asked Lady Narori, and I'll be returning to the elves for a time.
I think that will do you good. It's been a long time since you've been with your people.
I imagine this is where... Yeah, sorry.
I am sad to see you go. Who am I going to bother with putting misplaced conspiracies and thoughts on string?
Well, the board will be open, and I do plan to continue to update it. I can message Reese, who will continue to update it for me, I believe.
You
I'll
have
make sure the
gifts.
door stays unlocked then.
You owe them gifts. And
Pointing to the
Thane
kids.
is pointing at the kids. And I think there's like a very specific like tradition among the Fae that she's insisting that you pay. And she probably gave these. She probably left a bundle outside of your door, like
No,
a few
I like the
days
idea that
ago.
Andre would know, and he would have a gift for them already.
Okay,
We're
great.
just reminding
great.
him. Just because, like, he knows Fane's ways, but also he understands that it's hard for, like, very young children people to, like, deal with someone leaving. And I'm trying to remember their names.
Alma
Kale
and
and-
Alma and Kale.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I imagine, like, midway through him talking, they're probably, like, closer, because they're like, no! And, he would, like, kneel to both of them, and he'd, pull out from his satchel, and these are both, like, homemade gifts. He has one that's smaller, and one that's obviously, painfully obviously a sword of some kind. But the smaller one, to Alma, he opens it up, and he has carved and using druid craft, made not like a brooch, but it's like a magical focus. He has no idea what kind of magic Alma will learn, but he is like a little bit internally, secretly hoping it's more druidic, just because that's the kind of magic he does. And so it's made out of like a willow wood, which is, or no, it's made out of rosewood, which is like what he's got like a little bracelet he uses to focus his spells on. That's what his is made of. And he has carved it into the shape of like a bird, like a small bird in this little circlet, and it's like nesting on a branch.
Yeah.
And he hands it to her and says, "Wherever your magic takes you, I hope that you learn to balance it with the will of the world. And I trust that Fane, as disobedient of a student as she was, she has always been honorable and knowledgeable, and I hope you learn this from her." Then glances at Lydia. "Your mother will always be smarter than me, so she will teach you better than I."
Don't be so hard on yourself. You can certainly use a sword better than I can.
Sorry, Fox, you were going to say something.
No, I think I'm no. I'm just enjoying this moment, honestly.
He knows
Yeah.
better war songs too.
Oof.
Airdrie does have a lute that like he rarely uses, but he'll be like, and then the obvious sword, he unwraps it. I like to imagine that he found like the hardest old oak he could find, and using like druid craft and like elvish stuff, has like drawn a sword out that is not carved but grown from it. It is a wooden replica of his own, but on the side, instead of elvish runes, it says a phrase in elvish, which I don't know if he can speak, but handing it to the young child, he's, "This says prudence, caution, but bravery."
He takes it and starts swinging. Just whoa!
I think because Airdrie has like a very different sense of time, he's like, no, we will have one last lesson. And he'll spend
he
like the next
looks
few hours still like teaching him form.
Yeah.
I'm imagining
Aw.
that this is like a slaughter sax specifically, which is like a big knife or a small sword for like
Yeah.
the kid.
Exactly.
Something
Yeah, I think
that
it's
like
making-
you know, like this kid is not grown. He will grow into this as a knife. But for now,
Yeah, I think it's
a good
like
sword.
it's going to effectively, even in the future, be like a very effective like sidearm to whatever real weapon he uses. It's hard to say knife just because that's technically defined by like the tang, and this is all wood. But yeah, like that size.
Fair enough.
Slaughter saxes are usually between like 18 to 24 inches, so it's big.
Yeah,
Blade Lord.
yeah. It's
So.
and everyone spend the time
Nice.
teaching him form, and
Yeah.
I think there'll be some sparring, and he's letting him maybe get away with more goofing off and sparring than he normally would during a lesson, but
Yeah.
he's
I like
indulging.
that. let's take the die real quick.
Rio, if Airdrie was to come up to Rio and like say his goodbyes and stuff, Rio would respond in Elvish, which Airdrie probably hasn't ever known Rio to speak Elvish.
Aww.
With water you flow to where you go,
Aww.
and there I hope you find home.
Aww.
I like the idea
And
that it's like a
we'll-
surprisingly ancient Elvish poem, and like Airdrie's impressed and taken aback. Like, what?
It's very sweet. I like that.
Never cease to surprise, Rio. It is your most valuable trait.
Again, responding in Elvish. Thank you, Airdrie.
And I guess
Him
keeping
leaving in the afternoon.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think keeping with that as the No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Please.
He will, as like a parting gift, he will hand him a sending stones, and not sending stones, a sending stone, one with 2 runes on it that would be familiar to Airdrie. One to send, and then one to teleport.
Receive.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
Well, fair enough. With Airdrie parting off into the sun, we'll
We got
slide.
our special stones, bitch.
Yeah, we got good stones. We stoned up.
Rio would
We all
definitely
stoned.
just be like,
We're all
"Hey,
Got
stoned.
our
we're like-
rocks, and now they're off.
God damn it!"
Yeah. Let's go over to Rio next. So similarly to the others, you have your space to sort of say you at some point you check in with Malady, and otherwise you let them know what your plan is. So go ahead.
Actually, like to take a bit of a different route,
Please.
just for cinematography reasons.
Please.
So at the start of the scene, it will be Rio sitting on top of a roof, watching the sun rise, and he is overlooking a neighborhood very close to his heart, and that would be known as the Brooks, as it is waking up, and it has been almost regrown and is now a big, bustling center that children are able to thrive. And then we'll cut into the flashback of him. It'll be him kind of meeting Naori on another balcony, and very, very uncharacteristic of Rio, he will announce himself before approaching, kind of tapping a little bit on like a door frame before he walks up beside her.
Turns her head. Oh, a wonderful evening. And how are you, Rio?
I am good. I have been troubled in my mind and was wishing to ask you for clarity.
If I can soothe some discomfort in you, it would be my pleasure.
For reference, this would take about like 3 days after the battle, or after they've returned from the battle and stuff. I know there is a reason you chose me, and even to keep me on the High Council, and I have tried for a long while to find that reason, and he is just looking dead straight at like whatever horizon there is. And
She actually cuts you off and cups the bottom of your chin a little and tilts your head down from the balcony towards like the streets of Westreach. Just tell me, what do you see right there? Pointing to like a small tavern of some kind.
I see Eastbrook's Eatery and Dine. I
And she-
actually remember that being built.
She turns her head a bit more. And over there. What's there?
That is the market square.
She-
North side.
Whips it all the way around the other side. There.
School. I was the one to fund that.
She lets go of your face and puts a hand on your shoulder. A land is its people, Rio. I have enough haughty nobles who have not seen the underside of a diner. I have enough yes men. I needed someone who understands this, who understands these people, who can walk amongst them, talk with them, heal them. I needed you to be the bridge between our two worlds. I will need that going forward more than I need anything else. Things will get complicated in the years to come. The decisions I make will not always translate well to those beneath me, those who I am called to serve. I ask that I have people like you beside me to ensure that should I overstep, should I not serve the people, I can be put back in my place.
Rio will take a moment and in a snap he'll kind of take like a sharp breath and kind of stumble back as his kind of almost worldview, all of the little interaction. I should not be getting fucking emotional at this. Fuck.
Nope, too late.
You should. It's great. Keep going.
Feelings, coward.
Feel it. Feel it. Feel your feelings, you fucking loser. Feel it.
Damn it. Fuck.
Do it.
This is the game, baby.
Do it.
His almost worldview of like the tiny interactions that he wasn't really able to place why someone had done something or acted in a way towards him, tolerated him for as long as they did, or even accept him in general, all kind of not really shatter, but like click into place as like a final turn of like a machinery kind of, and he's understanding of he is not a hero of legend, he is a hero of people.
And people will always need their legends. And she hugs you. She takes you in a firm hug. Thank you for being my and their guiding light, Rio.
And he, embracing and hugging her back, he will say, "It's Adrian. Adrian Graves.
Adrian.
Never existed."
A lovely name. And she comes out of the hug and cups your face again. But you will always be my Rio.
Fuck, man.
Me, partially as Spain, partially as vermin. Do this. Do this.
You can.
I don't know, this feels like such a hug moment to me of like Rio breaking down a little bit.
It's listen, it's whatever you want,
Yeah.
baby.
It's up to
Rio will,
Chaz ultimately.
or I guess in this moment, he will kind of just do the forehead to forehead thing and just
Warren's bump.
it is obvious to Ari that his breath is very shaky, as like a lot of shit just changed for him. And like throughout like a couple, like 3 or 4 breaths, he will kind of just bring it back under control. And then he will kind of pull away a little bit, say, "Thank you, my lady, for everything."
And I thank you for just the same. What's next for the Master of Espionage?
Well, to take like a backstretch. Well, my initial plan B was, if this went south, was to join the circus, but now I'm not so sure. Uh,
You will find politics to be a circus all their own.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I
Take
swear
time
that
for
guy who
yourself.
got the third crown was picking his nose the whole time. What the hell?
She looks at you again. Just take time for yourself. Rest. Enjoy the fruits of a world made peaceful by your actions. You deserve that much.
No rest for the wicked.
And it is a good thing you're such a hearty, warm soul.
Oh, fuck, man. I feel like that's
Precious
also
kids are good.
aimed at me as a
Maybe a little bit.
person.
Maybe a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Mwah.
You're great.
I love you.
Just Chouse.
Mwah. I love you a lot.
Haha. We love you, idiot.
You get feelings
great nerd.
We make you happy.
of your heart. Fuck.
No, bullying
Feel
with
feelings.
positivity.
Feel feelings, loser. Anyway, I think seeing you kind of feel that, she'll almost kind of step away for a bit, just leave you to your peace. I will leave you to your night. Be sure it is a good one, yes?
As you wish. And as we come from that that scene, as like the sun is a bit higher now, Rio will kind of get off of the roof and join his kind of smaller, about 3 or 4 other people. Say, "Right, men. What's up next?"
One of them pipes up and says, "Well, there's a couple smugglers sneaking into the West Docks that are probably going to be a problem if we don't deal with them. Few rich assholes extorting a few minor nobles outside of the West Gates, and I'm pretty sure those assholes we beat up last week came back with more guys."
You're right. Let's see.
What's the call, boss?
Let's deal with the nobles first.
All of it.
Ugh, always the fun stuff first. You heard him? Let's get moving. 10 meter spread, no sound.
Yeah, sorry. That was an amazing fucking scene.
I love
that,
baby.
I'm very
The image is just them disappearing all into the crowd separately.
Like fucking
think-
the Ninja Gaiden type shit. You feel me?
I feel like
glad.
we also get to see this like great mini moment of Rio like having learned a little bit more magic, just like muffling. You know that bubble that
Mhm.
Thane has done?
Mhm.
Just like the bubble forms around his feet, and even the crunch of the gravel isn't like audible outside of it.
Complete quiet,
Mhm.
like some sort of ghost,
Quiet on top of the boots.
like some ghost type shit.
Yeah, because he still has the elvish boots
Yeah.
and cloak that just like
He's got the
he's hard to
elven
hear.
cloak and the boots from Airdrie. So like he is just
silent. You can't hear his heartbeat even.
undetectable.
All right, so we have 2 players left to check in on as we set into our epilogues. I have told you that I prefer one of you go before the other, but honestly, in hindsight, this can go either way. So, one of y'all feeling particularly like you want to go first between the 2 of you?
Lydia should go first personally, but that's me.
You okay? What's your matter? What you got going on there? That was a weird yawn. Sorry, puppy.
I want to
doing
make
weird
the
yawns.
argument that Vermin should go first because what I'm gonna do is gonna be very heavy.
All right then. Well,
This is fair. I just don't imagine
You wanna-
Vermin's gonna be any less heavy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pile onto it. It's gonna be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Where does this happen? Unlike some of the other scenes, I think this is one of those like nights where Oh, yeah. So Nari's room has an open window that, like, the first time that Nauri and Fane ever, like, talked about their feelings to each other, it was Fane having, like, swooped up to this window and spoken to her from, like, outside the walls. And I think Nauri has had that window open, like, for a while. But every night has, like, eventually given up on getting an opportunity to talk with Fane.
Mm.
And she's ready to turn away from the window again. And tonight, that, like, that silk noise of huge wings unfurling and buffeting a body echoes into her room. And suddenly Fane is claws on the sill, hand on the upper, hanging in the window. May I come in?
He, without facing the window, just... I know you enjoy keeping me waiting, but this was a bit agonizing. Please.
I didn't. She stretches herself into the room and kind of paces instead of taking a seat or going to Nauri. I don't know why you're doing this, but I think maybe I'm starting to understand. Why? Why
He-
now? Why them? Why not you?
She closes the book she's reading. You see it's actually a history book, an ancient history text, and she says, "The history of this land, nay, of this world, is set of individuals who believe they are fit to rule. And I will not repeat that mistake. I will not be solely responsible for the deaths of millions in the same way my family has been. I will not go the way of the old empires. I will not wage wars or subjugate dragons in the way that my ancestors did.
I don't think you would ever follow their path. I hate how the others, and that she probably, I don't have a good word for this, but like when she says the others, it is a word used among Fae to describe people who do not live in the enclaves.
Mm-hmm.
If I may suggest the
don't
mundane.
I'm gonna lift a word from the Arcade Martine books. She's just going to call them Yautlikim. I don't understand. I don't trust other Yautlik to rule. Most of these ways that the world gets carved up, they're wrong. But here, it's not how I would live, but it is so close. You've created so much peace and trust and security for everyone who you've looked after. And I can see, and this is where she reaches out and like strokes at Nauri's hair, but like we zoom in and like we get probably one of Naori's like patches of grayed hair from the stress of
Ruling.
ruling.
Of
I
dealing
know
with
that it has been
politicians.
work for you.
Hey. My dearest Fane, I did not create this piece. We did. All of us did. Together. Every blood, sweat, and tear shed. Every soldier lost. Every person that believed in this. We created this. And I need to hold us together for what I know comes next.
What have you seen?
A shadow. A darkness. A promise. A constant.
A chill that you cannot escape.
Like death.
Like death that moves.
Like a
Like
death
death
that is coming.
that eats the sun.
I understand that our house historian is not one to be open with secrets, but much has been shared with me recently. I believe us to have been foolish. Not us in this house, not us on these coasts. I believe we on this mortal plane have been foolish with forces beyond our own power. And I believe one of those forces seeks its vengeance. There is a war on the scale of nothing we have ever seen coming. And we have only just ended one war already. I cannot allow this peace to be shattered, but I cannot allow disharmony to make us weak, or we will all be swallowed.
I pray that you are right. I pray that the things you have done in the name of keeping people alive will turn the way that you expect. But I have my own people to attend to. I hope you understand.
I have had nightmares of this day. It never hurt like this.
I've dreaded it. And my cowardice has kept me away from you. My gorgeous fawn.
My dearest feather.
Come. Let us not only take bitter drinks in this parting.
If just for tonight. And she moves to embrace you, clearly trying to just not think about other things that are on her mind.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think there's a kiss and probably a few more, and then a fade to black.
Good old fade.
The old fade!
Hit a fade. And I guess it's not necessarily you have to like, answer like with in-character actions, but just somewhere to get a sense. Where's Fade headed after all this?
Uh, I think I think that there is probably a nearby enclave. And that's where she starts. And it's partially at her own urging, but then at Nyx's broadly. No Fey enclave leaves the territory yet. But they all move such that they could leave quickly if they needed to. They move to rivers, they move to the edges of the mountains. And I think Fane is close enough that it's easy for her to visit with Lydia and Naori if she needs to. But anyone who knows like the movement of the enclaves knows that this is in preparation for flight and escape.
Sort of severance of ties, a shifting or a preparation for a shift in the tides between a long-established relationship between one House Vairdans and the Fey enclaves. As change comes, sometimes old flowers must wither. And thus, we pass to one last member of the High Council. I'm not going to scene set at all, love. This is all yours. Lydia, where are we right now?
In this moment, I'm going to bring Fane back into the scene. It's been some time, a few days, enough to notice the trends of the Fae. And Lydia is observant. She's spent time with the Fae. She knows their patterns. And she's already talked with Naori at length, stating that she will remain in Westreach as historian, as counsel, while also stating that there may be points where she has to travel. But when it comes to that, if the topic of the children comes up, she tells Naori, I will inform you of that answer after I've spoken to another.
He's always understood that you kind of work in some very mysterious ways, and so while she might have seemed a little confused, she concedes and allows you to sort of work through what you have to work through.
And so we find ourselves probably in the port town. What's the one near Westreach? Is that?
I believe that's
Midwatch?
Midwatch, yes.
I imagine we see ourselves in Midwatch, actually, probably on a setting sun. Alma and Kale are playing in the sands, in the water, as the tide starts to roll out.
Yeah, okay.
Lydia and Fane are standing together. And she just asks the simple question, how much of you are you already aware of? You're muted, love.
You're muted.
I think I understand the why, if not the what. What's coming for you? What cold shadow is casting itself upon you? Surely when one has faced down the The one who waits beyond the veil. There's very little that can scare a woman.
I fear going into detail with you simply because you are so attuned to the weave in the plane. No doubt you sensed it already as a ripple. But if I share more than what I'm going to ask, and it's going to be an outlandish request, I will tell you that right now. I fear that it might put you and other members of your enclave in jeopardy if I were to share everything.
Well, then keep your secrets, historian. It would not be the first time.
And you know that when it's important, that I will tell you. Do you still trust me when I say that?
A long time ago, I didn't know what to make of you. You were unlike any human I had ever met. You've proved yourself time over time. I would do anything you asked, my dear.
Alma and Kale already see you as a guardian. The only thing that I ask is if I find that I do have to travel alone, or if I go missing, or if I sense that something is coming that I have to leave, I ask that perhaps you might bring them into the fold of your enclave. I know that they are human, and that they are children. They might not completely understand. But you are one of the few people that I can trust and believe would care for them in the way that I would. I did tell you it was an outlandish request.
There's nothing outlandish about it, my dear. I will miss you terribly. And the children will be safe with me. Don't miss them growing up. They're going to be two of the finest people I will ever know. And it would be a shame if you couldn't see that, even from the shadows.
One way or another, I'll get to witness who they grow up to be. Until then, take care of your people. I will take them with me back to Westreach. There's still research and proceedings that need to be done addressing this widespread of... Oh, what term do I use for these people now? It's lost on me. Not exactly emissaries. They're not inherently politicians. I'll have to do some research on that one. See if I can't find an appropriate word.
My people are calling them, and there's there's another cultural word that's just, it means little tyrants.
And that's very well what they could turn out to be. So for the time being, that will be...
Fane is going to pull something from within her robes. And it's not a... It's styled like a lot of the knives that she carries. But it's actually just like a pale branch with a claw clutching just clear quartz on the end.
Ooh.
Wherever you go, carry the love I bear for you with you.
So that even in the shadows, you can keep an eye on me?
I think you know better than to believe that I'd scry on you. I know what you must do. The only thing that I've placed on this is my care. I carved it myself.
And she takes the branch and turns it over in her hands and puts it to her chest where her heart would be, but instead there is a red crystal around her neck that pulses slightly with a glow, almost mimicking a heartbeat in and of itself. And I shall treasure it.
It's a poor trade. Your folk will tell stories about me. Or maybe about you. The one who traded a stick for 2 treasures.
Little will they know how equitable they actually are.
Indeed.
Come on, you two. It's getting late.
And they just Kale hops out of the fountain and runs off, splashing at Alma in the process, who complains and runs after him like she's about to beat his face in. And they circle around you several times.
All right, settle down, you two.
Fane, unable to contain herself, just big wings, pulls everybody close and gives the biggest, tightest hug. Doesn't say, like, the kids probably complain. Fane doesn't say why. Just wanting to be in the moment with
Big
the
old
three of
hug.
them.
Big bird mom.
They take
Bird
it.
mom
It's
hug.
a moment of complaining, but after a while, they just fall on into that bird warmth and just enjoy and nuzzle into you for a little bit, both of you.
Warmth.
Alma probably gets sleepy and has to be
Yeah.
carried back to wherever.
Gotta carry Alma half the way, no question.
Fane hugs are best hugs.
Indeed.
Just-
Big sleepy hugs. Instant insomnia cure. Speaking of which, Fane, as you're watching the three of them part, watching them walk towards their carriage, the hills rolling along and making the light create rays that kind of glitter off of the road, giving it this off-orange hue. You look atop the rolling hills, and there's a figure almost impossibly just about there. It's the kind of thing that if anyone but your sharp eyes were looking, they wouldn't notice. Or maybe you can only see it because of things that have changed. But you see a figure up on the hill as the carriage is loaded and begins to slowly prepare itself. Of a man on a hill A scar is still riddling across half his face. Silver hair is still spilling down translucently in his half-transparent image. And a soft smile on his face as he watches the carriage pull off.
Bane looks at him and offers a gesture that says, I owe you a great debt.
The figure looks back at you and just shakes his head as he slowly fades away. Anything else?
Only got one tiny thing, but it would just be like, I don't know.
No, go ahead, please. I have a cutaway scene myself as well, but if there's nothing else here, then
Yeah, this is more
Confidence
like
shows.
hit it.
something I don't
No
have.
half cents.
Alrighty. So
Never half send.
Rio would come up to Lydia at some point after the party, and kind of just hey Lydia, did we steal anything from Ithaca? Like, did they call dibs on like Iman or something? I don't know what, but she said that we stole something from her.
Rio, what was your insight roll again?
It was a 21.
It clicks exactly in that moment as you're going to bring it to Lydia of,
I
Oh,
imagine
the
you say
dying-
that. Lydia makes a face, and then you go, and
oh, the dying god inside Amon. Right, that's...
But did she call dibs on it?
No,
Like, I
she
don't-
just
I don't-
thought she would get it.
Yes, she just thought she would
Oh,
get
well-
it. That's...
Well, then she never
powerful
owned
people
it. So like,
feel
what the
entitled
fuck?
for things.
Yes.
Chaz.
Yeah.
I need to know
Yeah.
if these are things that you're vocalizing.
That's the
Just-
this
uh,
in
just-
character.
I don't know how to say this, but she's just a bad person.
Yeah, turns out.
Yeah.
She's just not nice.
Like,
Turns out the
Click,
evil Medusa
click,
lady,
click.
not great.
Oh, she's just a bitch.
It's the pachinko ball clicking off of the.
I'm just imagining the scene too of like the cartridge, like the cart gets back. Chouse is like, "Hey," and then, or sorry, Rio is like, "Hey," not Chouse, although there's someone similar. Rio's like, "Hey," this, and then like this click, and it's like as the camera zooms out, just him vocalizing these things one after another.
It's the car that we saw leaving at Cusco. It's the person we saw leaving with Cusco in the back of his cart, and that
Exactly.
we tracked him down.
Of course,
Well,
Rio's like, how can someone so smart be so dumb?
oh yeah, it's all come together.
All right. Well,
Like in real time.
Yeah.
I guess if you'll allow that moment to pass of recognition between Rio as he recognizes, oh right, the thing we were fighting against the entire time is the thing she wanted. Got it. That
Okay.
up there. I'll cut to a bit of an outro scene, if you will, as we sort of settle ourselves out of here. It is night.
I'm sorry.
You're fine, baby.
It's great.
It is night. We are facing against the clashing waves of the western coast. It is a clear sign of a place where it looks like a battle took place almost. You can still hear the waves knocking against the side. That's not exactly what I want. I'm going to go ahead and not put that one in. You know what? Even better. Instead, forget that. So, instead, what's most important is what looks like the scene of battle all around. As a cliffside looks decimated by flame and destruction, an eerie black kind of fire licking the sides of stone and shrubbery, tearing it to pieces. A figure, familiar and humanoid, rests on their back, crawling towards the cliff edge with shock and fear in his face. It is the scaled visage of Jalthroxe, clearly having been thrashed by something. A figure approaches, massive wings beating in the air as a shadow hovers above him. And then that shadow folds in on itself, and a humanoid figure walks towards Jal. The Codex Mortis, the Book of the Dead. I will not ask you again where it is, whelp. If you are not useful, I will be rid of you. Jal manifests a ball of prismatic fire in their hands and chucks it at this person's face. Fire explodes around their upper torso, and when it lowers, this person is simply holding it in their hand. My dog got the zoomies, don't mind me. And chucking it to the side. You don't even know what we are. You don't even know what they took from us. He smiles, lowers a hand full of decrepit, clawed fingers. Come with me. I've very, very much to show you. And I believe with that, we bring, finally, an incredible tale to a close. With all the hints that this world has not seen its last story. Who knows where next the Gilded Coasts or the world of Against the Light will see us, this community, these players, or mayhap even some of you. Only time will tell. Friends, thank you for coming for the last session of Against the Light. This has been our epilogue episode, and I don't know, I'm so glad this came together as well as it did. I don't know why I thought it was going to be a short episode. I have y'all with me. That was a stupid thought. Whatever the case, let's go ahead and get this done, knocked off, out of the way. Please, in any order you feel like. I don't really care, honestly. No, I lied. I'm going to call you out because I feel like calling you out. Tell the people who you are, who you played, where you can be found on the internet, and what you got coming on next. I'm going to do this one at a time. So first, yeah, this is like, what, the third, fourth campaign we've played together on this channel now, and I am so glad to have had you around for the foundation of this community and to have brought your unique flavor of story to this, and I am so glad to make sure that you're a part of it. I hope that into perpetuity we can keep sitting at tables together and telling these awesome stories and romancing you over and over again, because that's always fun. Go ahead and say goodbye, Tate.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Hey everybody, my name is Tate Washburn. You can find me at kinda_writing on Twitter. I do have an itch. It's Tate the Terrific. I believe a dash has been between that, but until that's on the social media link, I don't care that much because there's only one game. But yeah, what you should really do though is follow this channel's Twitter at Neon Lights Roleplay, because that's where we announce all our cool stuff that we're doing, and more people who are funnier than me work on it, so the jokes are better. And then you could also join our Discord, where we meme a bunch and we chat in like just all hours of the day, and it's pretty bumping. There's a lot of people on there. It's pretty good. Yeah. But other than that, you'll find me at the Kindred of Fog City game, which I believe is going to be this Monday.
2 Mondays from now.
2 Mondays from now. Excuse me. And you know, there may be some other games coming up, but they're not my games I'm running, so I'm not gonna talk about them yet. Yeah, I've had a great time playing Airdrie, and honestly, this has been real good. This has been real good. I really like that ending. Anyways, on to the next one.
Sliding on over. I just rip and roar for the way you and I can just get into any creative space and tear it to shreds. The way you can't put an IP, a thought, a universe in front of the two of us, and it doesn't become something fucking magical in 15 minutes. I love the way you get my brain, and the way I can sit with you and process incredibly difficult but incredibly meaningful things. I thank you for sitting at an incredibly meaningful and difficult table to sit through, and I hope that we can do it many, many more times. Please, say goodbye to everybody. The legendary Vermin.
Oh shit, that was very nice.
It was extremely good, but it's accurate.
Hey y'all, I'm Legendary Vermin. You can find me as Legendary Vermin on all the places on the internet that matter. Incredibly blessed to be at this table. You can find me here on Twitch, never on my own channel. You can find me on Twitter, Itch, and of course, I guess YouTube. If you want to catch more of me, it's mostly here at this point. I have, in terms of my upcoming games, next Monday, I'm on the 27th, I'm going to be doing the grand finale of another campaign, Madness Calls It Forth, over on TBK. Then the Wednesday after, on the 29th, we get episode 2 of With the Will, which is so exciting. And then the week after that, on July the 6th, I will be sporting freshly dyed hair, and you can see me in the Hubris of Man over on TPK, where we'll be closing out the last chapter of, again, another incredible story, all steered by the inimitable Meg Mysteria. I'm feeling super lucky to have been a part of this, and a part of this community. All of you have brought so much to this game, and I mean that to everybody at the table, but also everybody in the audience, everybody in the behind the scenes who's helped us with everything from music to stream management. Thank you for letting me be a part of this, and for helping it come to life here.
Vermin, again, I've already said it. I love sharing tables with you, and I hope we can keep doing it into perpetuity, honestly. Up next, I mean, hell, this is also maybe, the second, third time I've had you on this channel, and you were one of the first players I sniped over from another community, and it remains one of my favorite choices to have made. I cannot tell you how meaningful the stories you tell are, how powerful your ability to tell those stories is, and how worthwhile it's been to watch those stories be told, much less be a part of some of them. I cannot wait for the day you start bringing more and more of those stories here, and I am incredibly thankful for the ones you've already brought here. Please, say goodbye to the people, the incomparable Meg Mysteria.
With her little fur baby in her lap. It's very good.
Sorry, I was distracted by a cat here. There is not much that I can say that isn't just an echo of what's already been said at this point. I have adored my experience at this table, specifically at all the tables I've been at Neon Nights, and y'all's ability to put up with my causing problems on purpose.
It's great. We love it, personally.
Ability.
But I love it. I love being around y'all, and
Stick around then.
I plan to. I plan on bringing content here. Just wait. Be patient.
I'm bad at being patient.
You are. But
we know this.
I mean, yeah, like...
Bitches, please. Goddamn.
as far as as far as where you can find me, I am Meg Mysteria. You can find me as such on Twitch, on Twitter, on Itch. As for what's coming up this weekend on the 25th, starting at noon Eastern, will be our second episode of the Death in Space miniseries we're doing for Top Shelf, where I am, like I said, once again, causing problems on purpose. After that, the next thing coming up for me is gonna be the Hubris of Man finale with TPK. And I get to make Vermin suffer, so that'll be...
It's very good.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry. Hold on. I missed it. My fault. Watch Hubris. This is your mandatory reminder to watch the Hubris of Man finale. You don't have an exception or an excuse or a reason you can't be there. Get a babysitter. Call out of work. Watch the Hubris finale. Okay. All right. Anyway, resume. Go ahead. Do your thing.
After that, well, we'll just have to see what comes up.
I'm sure
That's
we'll be
me.
having you back here in just a moment of time.
It's a matter of time, and I look forward to it.
As do I. And this last one here. What do I even fucking say, man? Chouse, this game has been incredible for me specifically regarding you because I've got to watch you like take some steps outside of your comfort zone as a role player and create some of the most memorable moments I think I've ever had like at a table. Like, and I've played with some veteran fucking players, dude. Like, you have a talent for this, and I hope that like if nothing has showed you have a talent for this, that this campaign did. And I hope and pray to every god that does or doesn't exist in the cosmos that you will continue to bring that talent here to us so we can enjoy it, because I have certainly fucking enjoyed it, man. So please, if it pleases the court, go ahead and say goodbye to us, Chouse.
In chat, making Chouse cry. That's the other truth of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so fucking right. God.
Game Detective wanted to know, and we're telling him.
Yeah, there it is.
You know, yeah.
Drama and make Chouse
Check
cry.
episode, session 5, I believe it was, of this amazing fucking story.
I made Chouse cry
Yeah.
on stream, like legitimately, so
On
you know that's the
stream,
peak of my
like,
career.
It was...
The clip, we have it. It exists.
was
It's
something.
evidence.
There is video evidence, live streamed 4K footage of me bawling my eyes out.
It's on the internet. It's
Um,
forever now.
It's forever, you know? Yeah, I really only have one thing to say, and that's thank you to Neon Lights for allowing me to even feel comfortable enough to challenge the issues that I have in this campaign and feel cared about all the while doing it. There's any other way to say it would just be treading on over spoken words. But it means a hell of a lot more to me than I could ever say. But I have been Real Branshaw, or Adrian Graves, if you are privy to that information. I do enjoy that little snippet of his background. Just
It's fun.
Very well done.
Yeah,
People have not pulled off name reveals very well. Very well done.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. And this whole fucking table is just so fucking amazing. It really is. The energy that each and every one of you brings is... Sorry, I'm going back to the first thing. It's just, you're all just so fucking amazing. Y'all's energy fucking melds into its own form of beauty, and it's honestly breathtaking. And again, talking about like with episode 5 shit, I didn't feel like I fit in at all.
Nah, baby.
But you know, I've got my own instrument to add to this symphony of the chorus. You know,
You made this, baby. You were a part of this. When you go back and watch, or when you go to friends and talk about the moments that occurred in this campaign, the stories that were told, you helped do that. You were a part of that, you know? Like, hold that. No one can take that from you. It's impossible. No matter how hard they try. Like, you know? Like, I don't know. I like to end my campaigns with messages, with a thing, if nothing else, take this from this campaign, I guess. And that's that, like, each of us is capable of good on our own. We've already proven that. Each of you proved that. But what you proved more than that is that greatness is not an individual task. It is a collective one. You create greatness by working together. You create greatness by building community. You create peace by building stability and love and trust in each other. And you all did that here. And that's what makes you all High Council members. That's what makes you all leaders. That's what makes you all heroes. Not your ability to kill or sling spells or do cool shit. It's the way that people can put their faith in you and you won't let them down. Please hold that with you as long as you can. If there's nothing else, please.
Well, speaking of not letting anyone down, I wanted to give our amazing and wonderful game maestro his own intro.
Shut your fucking face.
The creative director of Neon Lights,
We
a
refused.
absolutely amazing force of nature of a human being who is the only reason I'm doing any of this at all, and has also brought
Force
all
of
these other
nature
great
that has made me
players
cry twice in a
Yes.
single campaign. You motherfucker! You made me cry again
Sometimes-
just now. You
Mm.
beautiful person. Fuck.
Sometimes known as Big Foxy or Young Foxy, Philly's
Colonel
finest.
Foxy.
everyone's favorite fox.
And personally, my absolute favorite fox. Actually, you know what? I know this is the end of the end of the stream, but go ahead and put them on for me, Foxy.
God damn it.
ahead.
Fine. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Favorite fox.
There you go. There it is,
why
dude.
don't you tell us? Why don't you tell the people what you're going to be in and who you were?
Yeah, all right. Doing my job for me. Hey, folks, you don't know who I am by now. I'm Young Foxy, aka Big Foxy, your favorite fox, like these people already said. I do stuff on the internet, and you can find me in places. The next place you'll see me is not until Sunday, actually. Back here for All Black Everything on Neon Lights Roleplay. Cannot wait to start bringing that story home. It's going to be fucking dope. Like I mentioned, you'll see me next Wednesday right here for Stardust Ghosts. Sorry, no, you'll see me next Wednesday for With the Will, our Digimon adventure, which has been awesome and fun and wholesome as fuck. And then the Wednesday after that, you will see the premiere episode of Stardust Ghosts, our pre-recorded Mecha Beta campaign, full of all BIPOC, femme, and non-binary cast members. It's got mecha, it's got feelings, it's got mecha feelings, it's got feeling mechas. Don't miss it. I don't know. That's it. That's all I got. We're gonna get the fuck out of here, honestly. 'cause
Wait.
Hold on.
There's literally only one thing left to say.
What's that?
And it is the war cry of House Vairdans.
Damn right, friends. So, as we head on out of here, Dons, one more time if you aren't aware, and we'll keep this with us as we head on into our raid and take on out. Please remember, all for the people.
For the people.
All for the people.
Take care of yourselves, darlings. We've been Against the Light. This has been Neon Lights Roleplay, and you have all been incredible. Love yourselves and each other, all right?
Bye. Bye now.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.